You are listening to the We Are West Ham podcast with me, Will Pugh, Tom Edwards, and James Jones. The Champions League dream is back on. I don't know what everyone was worried about after the defeat to Newcastle. West Ham are back to being massive again, so happy days. But let's just remind everyone how things stand. West Ham United are fifth in the Premier League. 4 games to go. 3 points behind fourth place Chelsea and 5 points behind third place Leicester. We're 2 points ahead of bitter rivals Tottenham Hotspur in sixth and 4 points ahead of Liverpool in seventh, but they have played 1 game less than us. Our opponents this weekend, Everton, are eighth, 6 points behind us, having also played a game less, and we'll almost put ourselves beyond them completely with a win on Sunday. Lads, every single game from now until the end of the season is absolutely huge. They will be the difference between a historic campaign and a really, really good one. What time it is to be a Hammer. So before we look back to Burnley, it was a good win, of course, an excellent 3 points on the road. Any 3 points on the road is a good set of points. But before we look back to that, I just want to start by asking you both a quick question. We'll, of course, look into the Everton game in the opposition view in more detail later on. But quick question on the spot. Tom, I'll go to you first. Would you take a point against Everton, given everything I've just detailed just then about the current state of affairs?
No.
James?
Obviously not, no.
Oh, blimey, both you go right, James. Then we'll throw back to you because you questioned Tom there. So no, Tom, you tell us because we'll see if your logic behind it changed James's mind about his query first. What are you saying, Tom? No, emphatic you were.
I just think I'd love to see us risk it. I mean, I'm with you. A point would be good in top 6 would be one hell of an achievement. But for me, the position and getting back on the horse the way we did on Monday night, I really just want to go full throttle. And whether that be losing, going for it and trying to do something special, I'd rather see us go for that. So for me, I'm just desperate to see us try and do the unthinkable and get 4 wins. So nothing else will make top 4. And that's really where I'm dreaming and have been all season. Why not? Why not? Get greedy.
There you go. James Jones, what are you, have you had your mind change there, or you know what Tom's saying? Talk to me.
No, I think the reason why I said obviously not no is that, you know, as Tom said, we want to try and win every game. We want to give ourselves the best possible chance. But if it does end a point, I don't think I'll be massively disappointed if it does end a draw. Everton are a good side. They're far better away from home this season than they are at home. So, I mean, it won't be the worst result in the world, but obviously would much rather the 3 points.
Yeah, I think we've got to avoid defeat, and whatever happens, our goal difference just isn't very good, is it? That's the problem at this stage of the season. Our goal difference, and it's not going to swing. It's what makes it a little bit frustrating about the fact that we didn't push on a little bit more at Everton and at least give us in with a shot of extending that goal difference gap on the teams around us. Because at the moment, it's almost like a point less, isn't it? The pressure, the extra pressure is on us even more to go after these results because, if we end up on the same points, we're inevitably going to be the bottom of the pile. But lads, on the light stuff, we'll go into all of that a bit more further in the show. How's things, Tom? Have you had a good week? What did you make of the Burnley game? Just briefly before we go into it in detail in part 2.
Yeah, brilliant week. Bank holidays absolutely class as usual. We missed the sun, but what a way to top it off yesterday. I mean, it was a top draw performance. I've not enjoyed watching us play football like that. Well, I have this season, but that was even better than some of the performances we've seen this season. The football we played through the FEM. Just what that result has got my positive juices flowing once more.
Your positive juices. God, that sounds absolutely great. James, Tom got positive juices flowing all over your bedroom floor. In slightly less graphic terms, can you let me know how you felt about the 2-1 win at Burnley?
Absolutely the same, mate. I'm absolutely dripping in positive juices. Sopping wet. I am. It's I'm buzzing. Do you know what? It felt like me that it was well worth the wait. The week waiting for that game over the weekend, seeing everyone else play, trying to work out, the different scenarios of, who needs to lose, who needs to win, and stuff like that, and get in there. And I don't think I've been so nervous all weekend. Obviously, the Spurs winning and jumping above us for 24 hours or whatever it was, and just thought, right, because Spurs won, like the game meant even more because we did want them to be above us for much longer than they were, and it was just well worth the wait in the end. As Tom said, the performance was up there as one of the best this season. The only downside is that we didn't score more because we should have done.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, mate, I think obviously I had a feeling anyway, and you two are always quick to tell me. But this weekend, particularly that game last night and build up to it, and even a little bit afterwards, has made me realise I am a glass half empty man, and I didn't think I was. In fact, I'm not even a glass half empty. I'm I'm a glass 3/4 empty, and not even a quarter full. Just even beforehand, leading up to it, and I've done it loads in recent weeks. I've just convinced myself before every game, this is the week the wheels fall off. And I don't know whether it's like self-preservation thing. So afterwards I can go, well, it's all right, Will, you built yourself up for that. Like when we lost to Newcastle, it was kind of like, yeah, well, you've been saying it's coming for some time. After the game, in that second half, when the final whistle blew, I was like, for a few minutes, I was just seething. It's like, oh, we should be putting the game to bed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, bloody hell, have a day off with the negativity, will you? I'm boring myself in my own head. Just like, we've won away from home. We're 3 points off fourth with 4 games to go in the season. Just that second half was stressing me out. And especially when Jay Rodriguez, as it bounces up to him, I'm ready to like launch the sofa through the TV. Never mind just the TV remote. But after it, I'm training myself. I'm trying to be better. I came around pretty quickly after the game to realise what a positive it is. Albeit only 1 goal, but we've come from behind away from home, haven't we? Did you find, Tom, that? What were your emotions throughout the game? Because again, I did feel that I'm absolutely delighted with one. It was just so frustrating, isn't it? That obviously we deserved to win. We had a million silly amounts of attempts and all that sort of thing, but only 4 of them out of 22 attempts only 4 out of the 22 were on target. I think Burnley had 3 efforts on target, albeit from far less shots. What were your emotions throughout the game?
I think it was a bit frustrating at points, but the first 15 minutes when they got that penalty, it was head in hands. It was like I just felt so gutted, and I felt it all falling apart. The typical Wood penalty, bit of a clumsy challenge. I thought, here we go. But honestly, once we scored that first goal, I literally felt so relaxed. The type of football they started playing, the confidence, the way they were building through the phases, we're knocking at the door constantly. I did for once feel like a fan of a big club. Just know that they're going down and know they're one of these away. And it was probably pride for the last 60 minutes because playing the way we did with the injuries we've had and also that having Antonio back is just such relief. You know you're going to get chances throughout the game. You know the people behind him are going to get so much space all game and there's nothing they can do about it. So I think it was pride and a little bit more confidence again because when you see us with Antonio, we're a different animal. And if he stays fit for these 4, we've got a good chance of winning them all.
Yeah, fair enough. Jonesy, just quickly before we do the housekeeping, let everyone know what's coming up on the show. Were you same as Tom, remaining fairly positive, or were you sort of frustrated as I was getting with some of the decision making in the final third, or most of our decision making in the final third?
It was frustrating to watch sometimes when you get you get so many counter attacks, so many chances to really put the game to bed, and we could have had 5, 6, or 7 on the night. But at the same time, like even when we went 1-0 down with the penalty, I felt that this, it's not over. I know it's only 15 minutes in, but it's not over. We've come from behind at Leeds to win, at Palace to win this season. Notoriously difficult places for West Ham to go, let alone anyone else, and actually get a result. So going 1-0 down at Burnley after 15 minutes, a lot of people would have been like, oh, here we go. But that was when I felt like, actually, no, this isn't over. We've proven before this season that, we're not going to lay down and die and we're going to fight back. And we did that. And it's just, as I said before, it's a shame that we didn't put a lot of those chances to bed. But the key thing is that we saw it out. And that's been one of our big things this season is more often than not, Newcastle aside, We've been able to, see games out, even if it is just by one goal cushion. I was relatively positive throughout. Just by watching them, you could tell that the guys were on it and they weren't going to throw it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was our transitional play was fabulous, wasn't it? The amount of times, the amount of chances we continue to create was really something to behold. But look, I mean, we're still in it, lads. It's absolutely brilliant. The 3 points is 3 points, isn't it? Away from home, you've mentioned it there, Jonesy, a tough win. So look, we'll in part 2, we'll go into that Burnley game in a lot more detail. It's nice, obviously, this week to just be chatting about the football on the pitch again, as opposed to all the Super League stuff that we've seen. That's all rumbling on in the background, of course. But lads, should we have killed it off, or can we just be delighted with the win? James, I'm going to go to you first, because it's one of those things. I know we've touched on it briefly in the first half, but do you feel like, when we come up against better teams, that we're going to have problems there? Or do you say, look, just stop moaning, we didn't put them into the back of the net, we put 3 against Arsenal, 3 past Leicester, etc., we've proved we can score goals against big sides. It doesn't matter if we won the game, move on.
Yeah, I think you just got to be happy with the 3 points. You did allude to it in the opening, in the intro of the podcast, that goal difference isn't as good as everyone else's. So perhaps putting a few more past Burnley on Monday night would have helped us. But that's the only really thing you can say. I mean, on the night, the team were superb. Barring that opening 15 minutes and what led, the passage of play that led to the penalty. We were brilliant, better team on the night. Even Sean Dyche come out and said, West Ham are a very good team, outplayed us all game. Every single Burnley fan I've seen on Twitter have said the exact same thing. So we were the better team on the night, and we got the 3 points that we deserved. So I don't think you can be. I suppose you can be a little bit frustrated that we didn't score more and improve that goal difference a little bit, in case it does go down to the wire for that top 4 spot, and goal difference might decide who gets that final spot. But you can only do what you can do on the night, and the 3 points is all you play for, really, isn't it? At the end of the day, and we got it. So, and it's what a club record 8 away wins in the Premier League this season. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the campaign?
Yeah, exactly, mate. It's phenomenal. Tom, I think we're obviously on the same page on that. It's just 3 points, exactly what James said. He couldn't have put it better there. 3 points is what you play for, and we've got them. So put that one behind us. On to the next one. It's been a funny week for reaction again. The commentators seemed quite complimentary of Burnley after the game. Sean Dyche was quite pleased with his side, if you judge his interview comments. I thought they were awful. I thought they were one of the worst sides we've come up against this season, because, as we've alluded to, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can't imagine West Ham had 22 attempts, and it was only by our sloppiness. That could easily have been a 6-1 game, couldn't it? What did you make of Burnley? Because I thought they were terrible.
To be fair, I read it more as we were just brilliant. Like, if you look at the way every single one of their players come out, Nick, Kowski, all the ones who've done interviews are talking about us. That's one of the best sides we've seen this season, sort of thing. A definite Champions League top four. And I think that just is a testament to how well we played. I appreciate that they were not typical Burnley side we see with 2 banks of 4 and very settled the ball and looking for the ball. They didn't at all, but they were going for it, and credit to them. We were just a better side. We had all our creative gems out there, and some of the football we played was just superb. I do agree the finishing on another day is the type of thing where we get done to all and we walk away with it and we're absolutely gutted. But this occasion it didn't sting us, and on another day, like you said, could have 4 or 5. But honestly, this time I think it was more down to how good we were as opposed to how poor they were.
Yeah, fair enough. Jonesy, do you tend to agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I don't think Burnley were particularly poor.
I just the ease with which they just whacked the ball at the pitch, but turned it over.
I think perhaps was probably expecting a little bit more from them as an opponent, given what they did to Wolves only last weekend, and that was what was putting a little bit of doubt in my mind. And I'm sure many other fans was that they've just turned Wolves over 4-0. I know we did the same earlier this season, but just turned Wolves over 4-0. They're still fighting for their lives down the bottom. I know they're all but safe, but they still mathematically could go down. This is going to be a difficult game, and yeah, it was quite surprised how easy it was for us to counter them and getting behind them. But I wouldn't go as far as say it was a poor Burnley performance. But as Tom said, we were just so good on the night. We were unplayable for most of the game, and yeah, there's not much more I can say. I don't think they're the worst team we played this season, but definitely not. Yeah. Sheffield United are the worst team.
Yeah, I suppose they did. They did defend pretty well. Not all of our stuff was poor decision making. There was some decent last gasp interceptions from them as well. I suppose. Tom, another man who split opinion after the game, and this one is absolutely incredible. Is Issa Diop, by the way, I'm talking about here. All through the game, my West Ham group chat, friends of mine from my hometown, have a little clique of West Ham supporters from our school and from around the town. Everyone was slagging him off, saying, "Oh, he looks so weak with him. He just doesn't know his arse from his head." And I was watching the game with my dad. We were both saying the same thing. He just looked so, from our opinion, just looked really just a shadow of the player he used to be. Decision making's poor. It looks like Aaron Cresswell's got to get into him, and Craig Dawson got to get into him after every play, almost playing the game for him. And then on Twitter earlier on today, he's got in a couple of Premier League team of the weekends. Absolutely baffling from my
Garth Crooks one, I'm sure, because he ain't got a clue what he's talking about.
But there was not just that one-off one. There was several West Ham fans jumping to his defence on Twitter as well, saying, he looked a bit shaky, but ended up looking solid in the second 45 minutes. Just give me your opinion on him, Tom, straight off the bat.
I actually tweeted, I was listing all the players I thought played well. He managed to get in there yesterday, but I thought first half he was poor and a liability. Second half, I was impressed with his reaction, though. He dealt with that long ball over the top. He didn't really get done with it. Chris Wood got hooked before the end of the game, which sort of testament to what the second half. So I thought we could take a little bit of solace in the fact that he did turn it around, but I'm with you. There's no chance he should have been in the team of the week, because he was getting spun every time by a long diagonal ball, and that is elementary at that level. It was just good to see him get his head on the end of a few big crosses as well at the end, though. So credit to him for coming back.
Yeah, he was improved second half, wasn't he? But he certainly couldn't get much worse, could he? Jonesy, have the same opinion there? Surely, if anyone was West Ham defender was getting in that team of the week, it should have been Kufal, who I thought had a fantastic game. But just quickly on Diop there.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, he looked like a fan who won a competition. I think I said that to you last night on WhatsApp, didn't I? He did. He genuinely did. And, the passage of play that led to the penalty, I mean, he's put Souček in an awful position there. And then, the thing was Souček and the rest of them said to him at half time, I was like, "What are you doing, mate?" And the second one, where exactly the same play over the top, Vidya gets in behind, puts the ball over Fabianski, and luckily Dawson's there to clear it off the line. And after that play, I think it went down the other end. I think it was a throw-in, and the camera pans out so you can see pretty much the entire pitch. And you can see Cresswell basically coaching Diop, and you can see he's pretty much telling him, "Don't let the ball bounce. Just attack the ball in the air. Don't let it bounce." And you think
such a Sunday League shout,
yeah. It's like, and I was thinking to myself, how on earth is a Premier League centre half who's got 3 years experience in the Premier League, having to be told, "Don't let the ball bounce" when the ball comes over? What on earth happened here?
Yeah, it's basic.
And it happened twice, and one of them led to a goal, and it was like, I can't believe we're seeing this. But he did improve in the second half, and he did make quite a lot of important clearances, and probably because they stopped putting the ball in behind, and they were just whipping crosses in the box, which he could deal with a little bit easier. But I don't know what's happened with Diop. The only player at Turf Moor that I thought just didn't really deserve to be on the winning side. And that might sound harsh, but he was poor. He was poor. And I don't know what's happened. His first season at the club, he was a rock. He was superb. And ever since then,
Mourinho calling him a monster.
Yeah, linked with United and stuff like that. And you think, we've got a snip here at 22, 23 million, and now, we'd be lucky if we tried to sell him. We're lucky to get 5 million for him because he's just not the same player. I just don't know what's happened to him.
Too comfortable, do you think, Jonesy? He's got the big contract, and not all players. Lanzini, sort of, a lot of players come to West Ham and find their level, don't they? We thought that Lanzini, before the injury, was going to push on. And he was going to be playing for Liverpool in no time. I feel like Diop's just, he's a sort of youngish lad, got his first huge money contract, and he's just nice and comfortable. Thanks very much.
I don't know. I'd like to think I put it down to he got COVID earlier in the season, didn't he? And he got pulled out of the game against Hull in the League Cup right at the last minute. Then he got a couple of others, David Moyes as well. And he was in the team up until that point, and then ever since then he's struggled to get back in the 11. He's only really got back in because of injuries, and you wonder whether he might have a little bit of long COVID that he's had to deal with or something like that, because we hear that people have been affected. Kai Havertz at Chelsea was really affected by it, and he's only really just getting back to his best. So maybe it's that. That's what I'd like to put it down.
He wasn't great before, though, was he? Let's be honest. He wasn't quite at those levels, those first season levels you mentioned. He wasn't, but he
wasn't calamitous like he was on Monday night. He wasn't making awful mistakes. He wasn't forgetting the basics of defending, which he seems to be doing now. Even like previous games he's played, like the positioning's led to goals, poor positioning and stuff like that, crosses. But yeah, hopefully, if he does stay beyond the summer, he's a little bit more improved next season, because we're going to need the squad depth. I don't think we really can afford to sell it.
No, you're right, mate. We do big time need to cover the back, because our combined age between our centre backs is about 406, I think. So definitely need to do something quickly. Lads, I don't think there's any conversation. I've written down Souček pen in the notes beforehand. I don't think we really need to discuss that, was it? It was pretty cut and dry. No one was complaining, really. You mentioned it, Jones. Diop's putting him in an awkward position. And yeah, a little bit clumsy by Souček, but certainly no one's going to have a go at him for that. Nice penalty. Fabianski unlucky not to get a hand on it. Manuel Lanzini I want to talk about, though. James, I think you tweeted after the game, and I think it banged on Twitter. I'm sure we'll have to ask Tom about another impressive tweet that he put out in the week that he was very pleased with the numbers on. But Manuel Lanzini, I thought he was absolutely spectacular in that holding midfield role. I think we mentioned there about how good we were in transition. I think he was a key, vital part of that. He just got the ball, recycled it so quickly, as he does, doesn't he? He's really technical and tricky anyway. Got the ball, popped it out to players again. Tom, impressed with Lanzini? I don't know if he got into your rambly list of players you were impressed with along with Diop on Twitter, did he?
He did. He was the first one I couldn't miss out, mate. He was superb. You're bang on with that. He was the reason we looked so calm on the ball from the off. He was getting off the goalie even when we were 1-0 down. Even before that, he just looked dead comfortable, and he was making all the right decisions, bringing our special players onto it, the technical ones who can make things happen. I think that was another reason why Benrahma had such a good game, because he was getting it in the right positions. He was getting it, turning and facing it defenders. He wasn't getting it to feet, slowly to him on his back foot. He was getting it where he wants him. And Lanzini, 2-touch, did everything right. And I was really, really happy to see him put in that performance. And what Moyes said after about him having to change the type of player he is something us fans don't even think about. He obviously lost his agility, and he's only starting to work his body out again now. And maybe he'll turn into a much better player in that role than what we've been seeing in him in the front three, because he has lost that sharpness. But that's his pass.
Yeah, I really liked it. And again, James, you alluded to it in the tweet you put out. West Ham fans just like him, don't they? And they want him to do well. And I want to see him in the team. And if that means he plays there, instead of Noble, or that becomes his new position a little bit deeper, then happy days. I'd worry about his physicality. But obviously you were impressed with him as well, Jonesy. Would you play him instead of Noble all the time? Or do you think, because of the nature of the side we were up against in Burnley, we could afford to do without that one extra defensive-minded player?
Well, I had this conversation with a couple of fans earlier on the back of my tweet about how delighted I was that he bossed the midfield for 90 minutes. And one fan was saying that long term it is not an option for central midfield, didn't believe, because of the physicality issue. But I see it as that Noble's got his one season left at the club, and we're going to need someone to be there to potentially deputise if Souček or Rice get injured. I know it's only one 90 minutes game of football, but Lanzini's shown that, you know, he could be that guy that comes in and deputises if there's an injury or a suspension or, you know, when one of them needs a rest, because both of them have needed a rest all season. And we've not had the numbers. And if we're playing in Europe next year, we're going to need those numbers in central midfield, because we're going to be going from playing 44, 45 games a season to 55, 60, you know, if we go deep into the competition. So all that talk about he potentially could be sold in the summer, I wonder whether it's a good idea. Now, if he can play that position, David Moyes is retraining him there, then keep him at the club and make it that role. You know, play him in the cup competitions there, play him in Europe there or something in the early stages. But it's just good to see him play well, get a good 90 minutes under his belt, and earn all the plaudits, because it's been a while since he's had a game like that for us.
Absolutely, mate.
So, and as you said, everyone loves him, and just don't want a bad word said about him. Absolutely love the guy.
No, yeah, totally agree, mate. And yeah, I think it'd be nice to, you know, with Declan Rice and Souček have played a lot of football this season. Hopefully, we've got an extra load of games next year with Europe, and yeah, if he can slot into those. And I think what was brilliant, we've struggled this season against teams who are happy to let us have the ball. Well, then just whack Lanzini on. If teams are going to do that, he might be the key to unlocking games like that next season, when hopefully we're pushing again. Lads, Michail Antonio is absolutely brilliant. We've got to take our hats off to him. There's not really a lot to say other than he is fantastic. So pleased to have him back again. Unfortunate to miss that chance, obviously, where he shinned it into his other shin. But to give him his due, it was a bit of a bobbly ball, and I thought he handled it well in his interview afterwards. It would have been lovely to see him bag a hat trick. We've got a couple of minutes left at the end of part two here. Said Benrahma. Now, again, we've done this already. He got the assist for Michail Antonio's one. I thought he had an industrious game. He did again make a couple of bad decisions. People saying online afterwards that they don't understand the differing reactions to him. So just give us a brief one, Tom. It's a minute and a half left in this section. Said Benrahma, brief summary of what you made of his performance and Moyes' comments after the game.
I thought he was unbelievable. I thought he got in positions, made them himself from his ability on the ball, technical ability we haven't seen in those wide areas. Yet again, it's 11 games we've won, 1 draw with him and something like that. 11 games we've won, 3 draws, 1 loss or something. So stats are beginning to show it again. And I'm happy he got that moment to shine, because he was superb and he was one of the main factors behind us playing such good liquid football. So good on him. Start of something, hopefully.
Fair play, mate. Yeah, I do think his confidence is a bit or shot, or was before the game. Jonesy, that and Moyes' comments after the game, what did you make of that?
Yeah, the comments were a little bit strange. He went from praising him to kind of bringing him down a little bit. I don't know whether that's just his man management style, but I mean, in my book, barring Lanzini, was the best player on the pitch against Burnley. He's not the only one that made bad decisions on the ball. There was a few, particularly in those counter-attacks, where it wasn't just Benrahma making bad decisions. So criticism harsh. It's just good to see him have another good game. And hopefully he can get a run in the side now, because he deserves it, I think.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. Well, fingers crossed he gets his first goal soon as well. But hey, 3 points at Burnley. We're still in the Champions League race.